What's up, everybody, and welcome to Dubl Drbl Zoomcast, episode number 4, Guarding Your Ground. Today, we got Ramez Meezy Michail. That's probably the only time I'm going to say his name because I don't want to butcher it at all during the show. So, Meezy, thank you so much, bro, for joining us. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you guys for having me. I'm really, really happy, excited.
Yeah, we're excited too, man. And you actually got a big request, numerous requests from players, from staff, and they're like, you have to get Meezy. You have to get Meezy. And I think I met you at the Emperor's tryouts. I saw you play, and I think I interviewed you possibly, I remember. And it was freaking awesome. So when they said, you got to get Meezy, I'm like, well, duh, that's a no-brainer.
Right, man. That makes me feel real good, man. I hope I can live up to those expectations, though. So we'll see.
For sure, bro. Directly below me, that's the boss man right there, Ferran WDC Dozier. Oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know who it is. Right above the head. Next to him, we got Coach Don. Next to Ferran on the other side, you got my partner G Gilbert A+ Asensio.
Hey, what's up, Meezy?
And above
him, man? What up, y'all?
Yeah, buddy. Above him, we got the birthday boy from last week, George Ochola. And no introduction needed. We got the Doc Shireen over here to my, it looks like my left, but it's my right, I promise.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
What's up, Doc?
That's fun. Yes, sir. All right, Meezy. First things first, dude. Let's get a little background on you, dude. Maybe like childhood. Where'd you grow up? I heard you're a local boy.
Yeah.
Drop a little bit of that on us.
Cool, man. So, I grew up in Orange County, California. I was born in LA, but I moved to Orange County when I was like 3 years old. So a lot of my childhood and adulthood up until this point has been in Orange County. 29 years old. I went to Savannah High School, played college basketball at Fullerton Junior College, then Santa Ana College. Then I finished out at Life Pacific University. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I'm Egyptian, which is kind of different. People like to hear that part. They're like, oh, Egyptian, that's kind of cool. But yeah, pretty much, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Orange County, born and raised. I've done a ton of traveling, but never lived anywhere else besides here, so I'm a Cali boy, local boy for sure.
Right. Cali represent. That's awesome. Okay. So you say you're Egyptian. What part of Egypt is your family from?
Alexandria.
Okay, where else is that?
So Alexandria is like the old one, like the ancient one. They have Cairo, which is like the big city. It's kind of the LA of Egypt. Alexandria is really like all the stories you hear about Egypt are basically based from there in Alexandria. I've only been there a few times, and it's been years since I've been there, so I don't really remember too much about it. But yeah, my dad can't stop talking about it.
That's pretty cool.
That's crazy that you're from out there, man. That's definitely on my places to check out. I definitely want to go out there, man. I heard it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's on a lot of people's bucket lists, man. Everyone's like, I want to go see the desert and stuff like that. I'm like, from what I was like 12 at the time, so from what I can remember, it was cool. I can imagine now if I went, I would enjoy it a lot more, though.
Well, we got to ask you. It's Egypt. Did you go to the pyramids?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I had to go.
You gotta ask.
I did everything. I went to pyramids. I rode a camel. I did the whole works, man. I had to go get my roots.
Dude, I'm so jealous. I'm a huge history buff, so I'm so jealous right now. It's ridiculous.
It was cool, man. I definitely recommend it. Yo.
I had a quick question, man. You grew up in Orange County, right? So I'm a Orange County guy as well, man, and I just wanted to ask, because when I send you when I started following you on Instagram, I noticed that you're friends with a coworker I used to work with. I'm not sure if you still remember him. His name is Dominique Williams.
Yeah, man. That's my guy. Yeah, me and Demo went to high school together.
Okay.
So
in Savannah?
Yeah, man. We went to high school. We played all four. So we played our senior year together. Demo was varsity all 4 years, man. He was a crazy beast athlete when we were young. But yeah, man, we still talk to this day. I'm actually in the 2K league with them, and me and him are in the championship. So we're supposed to play later on today. So we'll see how it goes.
Crazy, man. Small world.
I know, man. It's crazy.
We always say how much it is. In every episode, I think we've said how much of a small world it is. All of us coming together as one. G and me from the school. George came out of nowhere. Friends with Ferran. The next thing you know, he's our partner.
Right.
Coach from P4E. And then we got Doc, and you doing everything you do. it's crazy with everything. If it gels, man, it's gonna be freaking lit. It's gonna be
It's
awesome.
Gotta be
beautiful,
by
man.
design.
That's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Hey,
that
Meezy, give us some.
Yep.
Give us some. Where did this whole basketball love come from, man?
Yeah.
Man. So I've been playing basketball since I was, since I can remember, but never competitively or in a league or anything like that. So it's always been just for fun. I got a basketball at such a young age, maybe like 2 years old. And from what my parents tell me, it's like, I couldn't let that thing go. The same story for everybody. Like they get the ball, they love it. Never played competitively up until I got to high school though. I played high school basketball. Always just loved playing as like an outlet. Me and my big brother, I think that's kind of where it really started. We used to play for hours, get home from school, go outside. We had a court in front yard and we would play from like 3 o'clock to like 6, sunshine, rain, and then go back inside and eat, come back out and play again.
Of course.
And we kept playing, just kept playing. And I got to high school and, I really enjoyed it, loved playing. I love the team camaraderie. But really the main thing is that basketball was something where I can, it's like an outlet for me. I didn't have to be anybody, I didn't have to be Ramez. I didn't have to be Meezy or anything like that. I just had to go out and compete and play hard. And being able to do that really helped me because it set a path for me. I was able to play high school basketball. I got lucky and I was able to play college ball, even though like it was in my wildest dreams. I never thought I was good enough to play college basketball. And then, it just kept going and going. I was able to go to China for a few summers to play in the tournament with Venice, which was a crazy, amazing experience. And so ever since then, I want to say like my first year of college when I played, I was like, man, this is it. This is what I want to do. And, it doesn't pan out always for everybody to go pro to the NBA and stuff like that. But that's not really what it was for me. It was more of, hey, I want to see how good I can get, or I want to see how far I can take this. And that love is just like, I'm 29 years old, going on 30. A lot of people I know stop playing at like 23, 24. And I'm still going, and I can't see myself stopping anytime soon,
Let me tell you something.
I told you I was gonna dig, right? So what was the point where you didn't think that you were good enough for those next levels? What was going on?
So I had a really hard time in high school playing ball. So I played my freshman year. Well, I played a game on the freshman team, and then the coach just wasn't digging me at all. So he actually bumped me down to the sophomore team, which was the worser of the teams. So thank God it was kind of a good thing for me because the coach on the sophomore team saw a lot of potential in me. So he kind of worked with me and helped me get my confidence and stuff. And then finally my junior year had a good year, skip my sophomore year, junior year had a good year, get to my senior year where I'm actually on varsity finally. And the head coach is just not digging me. He's just like, you're too flashy, handful of stuff that he just didn't like about me. So I literally had to change my whole game up to be, a fundamental guy, just like a robot. And at that point in time, I'm like, man, I practice so much of doing what I'm accustomed to doing and just playing free flow, kind of like a street ball-esque kind of guy. And then I get to my senior year where I'm supposed to show out and I got to be a robot. Like, if this is how I'm supposed to be to be successful, I can't play at the next level.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of messed me up mentally to think I could take that next step. And then I did go get the guts to try out at a college, at Cypress College, and they didn't even let me on the court. So at that point in time, I was like, man, okay, this is probably where the bus ends. I got to get off on this stop. I can keep playing for fun, which is exactly what I did. But yeah, that's kind of how it started. It kind of set a bad precedence in my head,
Yeah. Doc,
It's okay to be a late bloomer. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has their levels at different times of their life where something just kind of like clicks, or even like coming from my perspective where their body and their mind kind of sync and they have abilities that they didn't have when they were younger, or they see things in a different way that they didn't when they were younger. So for me, when I see people who, kind of like how Michael Jordan, he didn't make it at first, and then he worked his butt off to be able to get better, and he saw it from a different perspective. I will pick somebody like that any day over somebody who's already been crowned a king before they have even actually like proven themselves,
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny you say that.
Look at Kobe. He didn't play his first 2 years either.
It's true. We were just saying this last week. Remember, G, we were talking about you can have quote unquote superstars, but if they don't gel, it don't mean nothing, So that's freaking cool that you say that. You keep saying you tried out for college. You went to college. What college did you go to?
So I played at Fullerton College.
Yeah, go Hornets. Go on.
Yes, sir. So I played at Fullerton. So kind of funny. It's a funny story how everything happened. I tried out at Cypress. Didn't even get on the court. I tried out at Santa Ana, and I kind of got dogged out, stuff like that. So I stopped trying out. And then I ended up going to play at 24. I just lived at 24 Fitness. Once I realized they had a basketball court, that's what I was doing. I was just every day out of school.
Yeah, 24.
I would get out of class at Fullerton. I would drive right down the street to 24 Fitness, and I'll be there for 5-6 hours at a time, just hooping. No pressure, hooping, playing basketball how I'd never played before. Inside of a gym, just for fun. Kind of up and down. And that's kind of how I got recruited to Fullerton. Was one of my old teammates, Trent. He worked at 24, but he was also on the team at Fullerton. And he was always in my ear a little bit because we used to always hoop at 24. You can try out, you can make it. And I was like, nah, man, I'm good. Like, I already tried it, took that road, got embarrassed. I'm gonna go ahead and just chill over here where I'm comfortable. And then one day, it was a real packed day in the gym, and Jeremy Anderson, who used to play at UCLA, was at that 24 because he actually grew up in Fullerton. And everybody was there. We were packed, and we were going back and forth, me and him. And this is like a Division I guy. Like, he was crazy good, but I didn't back down from the challenge at the time. And we're just going back and forth. Before I knew it, the game ends, and the assistant coach from Fullerton is there watching.
Nice.
And he walks up to me, and he goes, "Hey, man, where do you play at?" I was like, "I play right here. This is where I play."
Yeah.
He's like, "I want you to come try out. Like, you got a lot of upside potentials there." And I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm good. Been down this road before. I'm all right." He's like, "Man, just give it a shot." And then that's when my buddy Trent was really in my ear. He's like, "Trust me, you can do it. I told you." So end up going to try out, stunk it up bad the first day, just real bad. Even the head coach is like, "What is this? Why are you bringing me this kid?" or whatever. And I was like, and I walked up to Trent. I was like, "This is why I don't come, man. I don't do well in these kind of situations." He's like, "Dude, you got to give yourself a chance, be patient," and stuff like that. Told him I was like, "I'm good, man. I'm not coming back." So go the whole summer, and I'm still in the gym practicing and working, and I'm frustrated and stuff like that because I thought I had a chance. Like, maybe you had a chance and you just blew it, And then the day before school starts, the semester starts, the assistant coach calls me again, and he goes, "Hey, man, like, I just wanted to reach out to you. Are you registered for class?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "I want you to come try out one more time, bro." I was like, "Man, like, after what just happened, I don't even want to show my face in the gym again. Like, that was embarrassing." He's like, "Man, come on, just one more shot. Just give it one more try. If it's bad, I'll leave you alone." I said, "All right." So thank God I went back, man, because that day I had a really good practice. Head coach pulled me down, and he said, he's like, "I can't guarantee you're going to be playing, but I can give you a redshirt spot." And at the time, I was like, if I have a name on the front, I'm happy. Like, that's already something, a dream accomplished.
That's already.
So I ended up becoming a redshirt, and 5 guys got ineligible right away.
Oh my God!
Like 2 weeks later, 5 guys get ineligible, and I'm getting ready for practice. Probably the next day after everything kind of settles down, and the head coach walks up to me. He goes, "You have any plans on playing this year?" And I'm like, "Whatever you need, coach. I'll do whatever it takes." And he goes, "Well, right now you're my starting guard until you lose a spot." And that was all she wrote. I never worked so hard in my life. And after that, I had a really, thank God I had a great season that first year. Even though we didn't do too well as a team, we had talent. We were just really young and didn't have too much size, but I had a great season, and it just kind of springboarded me forward, confidence-wise, to think, hey, man, I can compete, at a high level, because we played against some real talented people, and I like to think I held my own.
Meezy, in my experience with interviewing guys, even for myself, playing ball at the park is not the same as playing ball in high school, right? So it's a totally different atmosphere, it's a totally different level. So how did you adjust? How did you adjust by playing basketball in the parks and recreation, and then going from high school to college? Like, your mentality, you had to develop a different IQ. I mean, so what was the process for you to manage that part of it?
So you know, when you're playing at the park, it's very free and it's very, you know, it don't matter if you, I mean, you always want to win, but when you're playing at the park, it's very like lax, playing with your boys and stuff like that. When you get to high school and college, the pressure gets on right away to win, and the pressure gets on to perform. And my biggest hump was learning not to be a robot, was learning to actually play within the system, but taking those opportunities. You know, you have different options of playing. And my first couple, you know, my head coach used to hate me in college because he's like, you don't want to shoot. You don't want to shoot the ball. You know, he's like, you're open. You don't want to shoot. You shoot a high percentage, but you don't want to shoot the ball. And so he had to really break me down to like say, hey, it's okay for you to shoot the ball. I'm telling you to shoot. So that was my biggest hump. I've always been good IQ wise. Never had a problem reading, making reads, and you know, spacing the floor and all the little stuff effort wise. I never had an issue with that. It was up here knowing, hey, it's okay for me to shoot the ball. And even Don can tell you now, I still have bad tendencies with that. It still kind of trickles down because it's just a overthinking. And I'm a real big comfort guy. I'm a real big continuity kind of a thing. So if I'm rolling, I want my teammates to be rolling, and vice versa. But yeah, that was my biggest hump, was getting over that. Hey man, it's okay to shoot the ball, because when you think you go to a play, you're running plays. All right, this person has to shoot this play, but that's not the case. You know, smart players make those reads and say, hey, you're not open, so I got to take this ball. You know.
Yeah, Coach, you want to piggyback off that?
Yeah, I was going to speak on that later, but he's right on point with, you know, I told Meezy multiple times, like, I need him to be more aggressive. I want him to be more aggressive. But in the same boat, that's why everybody that plays with or coaches Meezy loves him, because he does whatever is needed for the team. He'll guard the best player. He'll make the right basketball play. I'm still waiting for my layup package that it better come with the Orcas, but he's one of the most low-key athletic players. People sleep on him. You know, he led our league in blocks and as 6'3". You know, like no one else does that. And it's because he plays so hard, and he does. And the funny part is where the coach was saying he's too flashy, that's what caught my eye first. And I wanted to be more flashy because that's part of his game. That's him. And, you know, because he's so unselfish and does whatever the team wants and supports them, you know, he kind of holds that back, and he stays in the background, where, you know, he has the talent and the skills to be in the forefront more often. And, you know, that's something that, you know, will be shown off in Orcas for sure.
They got to be more flashy, apparently.
I will. Say less, Don. Say less.
Yeah, just wait a minute. No, but for real. So before I got a couple more, and I'm gonna let you guys have it. The whole fundamental thing, right? Like, one of the things for me is that I always mention the Spurs as being the fundamental team. Again, that flashy to playing fundamental. How do you manage it now? Like, do you when you got that open spot and you've been hot in that spot, do you go set up over there, or do you still like make plays, and then when it's open, you open? Like, how do you deal with that now?
I mean, I try not to be too predictable. You know, there's a lot of players, especially like that I'm around. Like, the biggest thing for me defensively is I can read guys. I can tell that they want to score real bad sometimes, you know? So I try not to be like that. So if I come down and I score a couple times, I may take a play or two like away from trying to score, you know? Before you know it, I might be right back at the basket. Or before you know it, I drive to the basket and I'll dish it out. So, like, I think that's the biggest thing for me is I'd like to be balanced. I like to be like, I don't want to just, I mean, Don could tell you, I don't want to have 20 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. I'd rather have maybe 12 points, 8 boards, and 6 or 7 assists. Just so players know, like, hey, this guy's doing more than one thing. If someone that can just score, I mean, it's easy to defend. You know, I don't want to be like that. And more importantly, on a bigger scope of things, it's easier to stay in the game when you can do more than one thing. You know, if you're just a scorer, you're off. You're more entitled to sit on the bench. You know what I'm saying? If you can do multiple things and the shot's not falling, well, I know this guy's going to give me defense at least, and he's going to be a team guy. He's going to be able to dish the ball around, and he's going to hustle and do all the little things. So That's like the biggest thing for me is just maintaining balance. You know, sometimes it sucks because you're like, oh, I could have scored 30 or something like that, you know. But at the end of the day, as long as the team gets to win and, you know, you did your part for the team, and that's really all that matters. You know, everyone has their days. So one day it might be, one day it might not.
Absolutely.
I'm a leak it that the GM especially loves defense, man. So
Yes,
that
sir.
is, I mean, that's for even me. When I grew up, it was like defense wins the game. Like it doesn't matter about the scoring. It's like if you play defense, you get those opportunities. So that philosophy has died out a little bit. But for us older guys, it has been fundamentals and defense. And when you get that time to shine, then you take it. Go ahead,
And
Doc.
the best part about Meezy is he could guard 1 through 4, and he battles. You know, he could guard a little guard, he could guard a big man. He'll do his thing. He'll box out. And there's not many people that rebound as good as Meezy at 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
You know, and definitely not block shots. He comes out of nowhere, blocks. You know, he has a LeBron package. That will definitely be on the highlights this season.
For sure.
Yeah. You know, Meezy, race is such a big conversation. Being Egyptian, is that like you out of character for your nationality be playing basketball? Is there like it's like, what are you doing on the court? Like,
oh man, you don't even know, man. Growing up was a different, like, I just couldn't stop playing basketball. And everyone's like, you know, a lot of Egyptians in my culture, like doctors, lawyers, all this stuff, like business owners and stuff like that. And I couldn't get off the court. My parents are like, what are you doing? You know, like you're 19, 20 years old. You had your fun. And I just couldn't stop. So like, you know, you get to a point where you're just playing. And before you know it, like I never had another Egyptian person on a basketball team with me. You know what I'm saying? I've had Amin, who's he's Lebanese. He's Arab too, pretty close. But like, and Amin's just like me. He's very, he just loves hooping, you know, just loves to play. But it's a completely against the grain of our culture. You know, our culture is like soccer. If there's a sport that we're good at, it's soccer, you know. But yeah, man, growing up was kind of tough. And you're always the one person that's, you know, of the whole team. You know what I'm saying? I'm the only Egyptian guy on the team. But luckily I've had great teammates, man. So never felt like left out or different or anything like that. But yeah, definitely it was more on my end of the culture, like, how's basketball going? Oh, okay. You playing for school? Cool, man. All this kind of stuff. You making money yet? No? Okay. Well, you're like 24, 25 now. So like, I don't know, you know, but once I kind of got a little bit older, people started seeing the success a little bit. You know, I had a little bit of success, and then they're like, man, it's pretty cool that he chases straight. You know, he's holding it down for the Egyptian people. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think George has something he wants to ask you. Go ahead, George.
No, so like I just have something like going back to what you were saying that like you want to be like this complete guy, you want to like be a scorer, but then like you want like another team wants you to be a defensive type of guy. I was in that situation that you were saying like in high school, because like I like to shoot the ball, but I like to defend. That's really my calling card. So I know how to work hard, and if there's like a lot of scores on my team, like I just give them the ball. I'm like a team guy. So like I'm just proud on the way you handled like that situation, because you know, like you could have quit but you didn't. Like you really kept on working on your game, and I'm just proud of you, bro. So just keep up the good work that you're doing.
I appreciate that, George. Yeah, man. I think you hit the nail on the head, man. It's hard. It's very few and far between to find players that can, you know, ego is a lot of basketball. Basketball is a lot of pride. Basketball is a lot of like, where if it's not my way, then yeah, it's the highway. And I dealt with that a little bit, but more importantly, you know, making the sacrifices that I made, you know, having to switch from offense to defense or whatever my team needed, extended my career. So, you know, I do appreciate that, George. But yeah, it's definitely tough, man. I'm sure you know it's not easy.
Yeah, it really is not easy. I've been to that situation many times. So, yeah.
I think Meezy has the ability to see the big picture more than most people. I mean, you are a successful business owner as well. Like, why don't you tell us a little bit about the businesses that you have?
Okay, so I have took over the family business about 3-4 years ago now. My dad started up auto collision center. So basically we fix cars, insurance and cash and everything like that, mechanical work as well. He started about 30 years ago. So he built that thing from the ground up and he solidified it. And I came and took over about 4 years ago. You know, I got blessed. I'm super lucky because it was so solid, gave me some opportunities to mess up, make some mistakes, and kind of learn everything the hard way without having to really learn the hard way, you know. You know, it's a great business. I can't emphasize enough how blessed I am to be able to run it, you know. And my dad just kind of set it up for me and put it in my lap and say, hey, this is your baby, if you want it, you know. And you know, my main thing was to get him out and retire him. That was the biggest thing for me. My dad is nearing 70, so he's about that, you know. He's just like me though. He loves to work. He doesn't want to be home. He doesn't want to just sit down and do nothing. But yeah, if anyone ever needs anything, I got all
good to know.
The plug. If you guys need any car work, I'll take care of everybody. I try my best to keep it real family oriented, you know.
Cool.
How you gonna manage your professional and possibly your job and possibly professional basketball too? How you gonna manage both of those lives?
That was my next question.
Man. So I've been doing work and basketball since I was like 19. So ever since I started playing, I've never not had a job. So I've always been working and having to do basketball. The good thing about the shop is that it's almost to the point where it's self-sufficient. So I don't need to be there all the time.
Okay.
I can designate certain hours and days, and I could do a lot of my work from home, which is kind of what I do a lot of the work from home too. A lot of stuff is written stuff, you know. I'll go meet up with customers here and there. But the plan is to be able to manage both and juggle both. And I've done a good job of it, you know, in the past. So God willing, I can make sure it won't affect anything.
Awesome. That sounds pretty cool. Who was your you just talked about your father and how hardworking he is. Who was your inspiration growing up? Was it dad? Was it a athlete? Was it both?
Definitely inspiration. Definitely my pops, 100%. Immigrant. Just a regular story. Immigrated here from Egypt, came and just built up, you know, from the ground up, and took care of his family, took care of me and my brother and my mom. And definitely he's my number one. Number two is my older brother too. My older brother, me and my brother are polar opposites. So it's hilarious. Everyone sees me. I got tattoos. I got earrings. My brother's just clean shaven, nothing, doesn't like to go out or anything like that. Not super social. But he's someone I look up to because he did everything the right way. He just went to school, finished. If he has something set in his mind, takes care of business. And he was my biggest motivator playing basketball. You know, surprisingly, he was the one that saw the most in me because we used to play against each other all the time. He used to come to all my games, and he was just my biggest fan, for lack of a better word. So he was number two. And my favorite player growing up was Vince Carter. So as funny as it is, I don't ever dunk. My favorite player is a dunker. So. And Don always
got a mission.
So that was actually going to be my question. Like, who was like your favorite player growing up? Like your favorite NBA player growing up?
Yeah, Vince Carter, man. He was my my biggest fan. I'm his biggest fan. You know, like one of his biggest fans. Like I have all the jerseys. I have all the shoes. I watched all the games. I would get home from school when he was on the Nets. I had league pass 4:30 to 6 o'clock. I'm watching the Nets games. Yeah, man, Vince Carter for sure, 100%.
And he's still playing right now to this day.
I know. I was just gonna say,
right?
That's a great inspiration to have because he came back. You know, he was gonna leave, and then he came back. You know, he just keeps grinding. I love it. It's awesome.
So
I think he's. Go ahead. Sorry, George.
No, I was gonna say, like, isn't he like the first player in the NBA ever to play in like at least in 2 decades?
Isn't it 4?
Or 4 decades?
4 decades.
Right?
Yeah.
4 decades.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think Vince is a really good example of like, you know, superstars coming down to role players because there's a very small percentage of them that are actually able to lengthen their careers in a role player situation, you know, and he did a good job of it, of just extending his career, you know, being able to mentor young kids and all that stuff like that. So it's really admirable, even though I want him to win a championship more than anything. he went out the way he wanted to, and that's I think no one can ask for any more than that, especially as a fan.
Oh yeah, he's a great example. Absolutely. We're talking about examples. What advice would you give to up and coming players, either young, teenager, young adult?
Find a mentor. Find someone to mentor you. Find someone that's been through maybe something similar that you've been through, to keep your head on straight. Because I think a lot, when we're young, we make a lot of rash decisions, especially with basketball or sports in general. Find someone that talks you through it. Find someone that can help you see the light in it and see the silver lining. And obviously just stay in the gym. That's it. All the people that I know that are successful in sports, they just never stopped. They just never stopped playing. They just kept going. They kept working on their craft. And I think that is number one in and having a good, successful basketball career in any scale. It doesn't matter if you go pro, it doesn't matter if you play college ball, in any scale. I think if you're just consistent, like you have a legitimate shot. You have a really good, legitimate shot, because basketball, as much as there is athleticism and speed, it's skill. If you could shoot the ball in the basket, you could get paid millions of dollars potentially. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can dribble the ball and pass the ball well, there's a spot for you somewhere. So just staying true to the craft and sticking to it, I think is number one.
Absolutely. Also, you're saying sticking to it and just doing whatever it is you got to do to stand out. We got to jump into the VBL, bro. I mean,
right on.
From what I've seen, that's your gig, dude. You're
right.
Multiple time player of the game. But yet you're so freaking humble. I love it. So let us know a little bit about the VBL, dude. What's down with you in the VBL?
Venice. Venice was the first time I was able to really play with my basketball team. So my first we started in VBL from one of my favorite coach probably that ever actually mentored me and coached me from the ground up, Coach Greg Tuchek, he used to play in Venice back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows Nick. Not sure exactly how he knows Nick, and Nick is the CEO of the VBL, and he was able to get us on a team. And we got a team together, and we started playing in VBL with just the Fullerton basketball squad. And we're playing in the league, and we're competing against these grown men, and we're battling, and we're getting our butts kicked and stuff like that. But it gave you thick skin, and it toughened you up. So by that next season, we already knew what to expect. And, I was able to really kind of thrive my first, after my first year, I was able to really, make a name for myself in Venice, which was awesome. And, you get great exposure. People start knowing who you are, things that I'm not really used to, but Venice is an amazing, amazing place to play, even though they foul all game, every game. They never stop fouling, it's still such a cool environment. You're playing on the beach. You're playing amongst friends. There's people around. Venice is really, really something that I look forward to every single summer, to get out there and go play. Even though sadly there might not be one this summer, but it's okay.
So you're talking about playing against big guy, quote unquote big guys. Did you play against any pros?
Yeah, I played against Metta World Peace at my first year when he was still in the league. And wow. Oh my God, he kicked our asses. he got us pretty good, man.
Straight to the point.
And Metta was we actually lost on a buzzer beater, so we were battling, but Metta himself, he got us pretty good. He's exactly how you expect him to play in real life. Exactly how you see him, just real gritty, holding, pulling, all this kind of stuff. He doesn't care if you're small. I'm small now, but I was even smaller my first year, and he didn't care. He was just picking me up by the head, just move over here and picking up all the other guys and moving. But I played against Metta and BBL. I played against Larry Sanders. I played against Derek Williams. I played against Casper Ware. Played against a lot of pros. A good handful of pros.
Did you see anything in their game when you were playing against them that you possibly could use?
Metta, yes. Even though it's just pertaining to VBL, but Metta uses his hands really well. He uses it a lot, especially on defense. So he did a really good job, if you're trying to go by him, to put his hand right into you, to steer you, And that's what I started doing. And then they start calling hand checks all the time. They're like, can't touch him, can't touch him. I'm like, bro, what about it? Well, Metta could do it, but it's really smart because he keeps his hand on your hip so he can guide you. You know what I'm saying? And I think Metta, he's 6'7", and he's big and strong, so it works different for him. But once his hand's on your hip, he's guiding you. There's no moving. I think that was the biggest thing for Metta, and also for Metta, he knows how to use his body really well. So he may not have the best handle and stuff like that, and I don't think he's ever been known to have a good handle, but he keeps himself between you and the ball, so you're not stealing it whether he can dribble the ball or not. You know what I'm saying? He's going to back you down, keep his body, keep that separation. Those are two things that I kind of saw from him. I'm like, man, that's pro-level stuff that we don't know about. You know, we just see it.
I think something that you could take from Metta also – sorry, George. I just actually talked to him the other day, and he's so different on the court and off the court, you know? Like, Metta's a great guy, and he's got so many things going on. He has he's got his hand in so many different things. And I think that that's something that, you know, we can all take from Metta also, is that on the court, he's an absolute beast. Like, you would not want to get in his way or on his bad side or anything like that, like a beast, right? But then off the court, he's such a compassionate, like, caring guy that really just wants to help people. So I think that dichotomy of his personality is something that we can all like learn from, that it's okay to, you know, like just be transformed into an animal.
Definitely.
It's funny because we talked about on a couple episodes that's how we were going to be. We're going to play hard on the court, but we're going to do all kinds of charity out in Oxnard and other communities, I believe.
Exactly.
In a difference, you know, and it's gonna be awesome.
I just wanted to say, Meezy, if I equate that to the football players, because that forearm, if you got a good forearm, you can stiff arm a cat.
Everybody.
So if you work those forearms, I see why Metta could force you to go a direction that he wants you to go, because the arms are strong.
Man, he was strong, man. I had to go buy one of those grip things after. I'm like, hold on, let me get myself right.
That's freaking hilarious.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we also mentioned there's all kinds of different leagues that you can play in. You play street league, like rec league. You know, you also played for the P4E, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
How was that for you?
I love P4E too, man. From the first year of playing P4E to now, it's grown like 110% as far as everything from A to Z, but competition just skyrocketed. It's crazy. You know, you got all the people playing, mostly Drew League guys are on the court most of the time. You know what I'm saying? JBL guys, BBL guys. And the craziest thing is that Don just kind of started this thing a few years back, and it's just grown insurmountably. But I love P4E. Won a few championships with them already, so hard to not like it. But it's really exciting, and it's a great change of pace, especially for someone like me. You know, you're around basketball, and you're around hoopers, and you know the life that it comes with. You know what I'm saying? When you go to P4E, everyone comes down. We're only there for one reason, and that's to play for each other and to praise God. And I love the meaning behind it. I love Don and his whole staff's purpose. So P4E right now is my favorite league for sure.
Yeah. I talked to P4E. I got to go to Coach. Coach, do you have anything to piggyback off of that?
Yeah, just that's what it's all about, is, you know, putting on a good show on and off the court. And the fact that all the people that played that you've interviewed have spoke about not just the competition, but what they get out of it. And you don't always see that when you're running it, so it's always good to hear. You know, Meezy and I, we've had a lot of talks on and off the court, and good and bad. You know, like, I remember one time in the backyard we had a long talk about, you know, things going on in each other. And Meezy's one of the best guys. You know, I think his best and worst quality is the same. He's too hard on himself. So that's a positive and a negative. So sometimes, you know, when you're down and you get down and you're too hard and you just tear yourself down, right? And that he's mentioned that in the past. That's almost made him quit basketball. But it's also why he's so good, is because he is so hard and he really critiques himself. and he doesn't believe the hype. You know, he actually lives it out. And, you know, he's done a lot of things. You know, he's totally humble. He hasn't even mentioned he's a world champ.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you know, what's on his chest is this brand that he's building. Two of my favorite shirts are that brand. You know, I wear them all the time. And he definitely needs to speak on both of those, the world champ and the brand.
Go for it, Meez.
Okay, so this is my brand. I'll start with this one first. It's Can't Guard Me. So this is a brand that I actually, me and my partner, one of my mentors from church, George, we started about 8-9 years ago. And then, you know, I started playing basketball, so I kind of fell off. And George is an incredibly busy guy, so we kind of fell off from the brand, kind of just let it die off. But now, you know, I made it a point to try to bring it back. And it's basically a basketball brand. As much as it is Can't Guard Me, it's more about the work ethic behind it. It's more about all the time you put in behind it. It's more about Kobe Bryant was the inspiration for the brand. It happened when we were watching Kobe against the Rockets in the playoffs, and Shane Battier was guarding him, and Kobe was just torching him, just getting off on him. Rest in peace, man.
Mm-hmm.
And Kobe just looked at him. He said, "You can't guard me." Hand in face and everything. You can't guard me. And that's where it started. So we started the brand, and now it's I'm hoping to build it into something big and better. And the true meaning behind it is, yeah, man, no one can guard you if you put the work in. No one can guard you if you really love it and stuff like that. It's not about, hey, I'm just good. It's about much more than that. It's about much more heart and much more effort and stuff like that. And then the World Championship thing, I was blessed enough to get selected by Nick to go play in the BBL in China, where we played against like 32 different countries, and we smacked every single one of them down, man. It was awesome. And we came out and we won $100,000 collectively as a team. So
Nice.
we came home and divided it between us, and man, that was an experience of a lifetime. I can't speak. I can't say enough about it. It was amazing.
Yeah, just real quick, can you give me like some differences and some similarities between China and the States?
As far as just in general or sports?
Sport.
Okay, so they love basketball. Insane how much they love basketball. When we got there, you know, I always make a funny joke. Everyone laughs. Like when I was in China, everyone's like, you know, I'm with a bunch of guys that are like 6'7", 6'8". I don't look like the basketball guy in my team, you know, but they're walking up to me asking me to sign. Hey, can you sign this? Because they see we all got the same stuff on. Mm-hmm. And they're coming watching the games. They're waiting all day to watch the games. They're sitting there down all game. And then I make the joke like, yeah, man, they love you in China, and you come back to the States and you get a middle finger because no one cares about you over here in the States. You know what I'm saying? But it's incredible how much they love basketball, and it's almost cool to see because they don't have an NBA really. Mm-hmm. So I know they have their own leagues and stuff there, but they were so excited to see a lot of us. It was insane. They have people surrounded the gym, the little arena, and they put so much money into it, just the organization itself, in taking care of the players, setting up a nice little scenery and stuff like that. And you know, even after when we won, they took us out to the club and stuff like that, and like enjoy yourself and stuff. So it was pretty cool, man. It was a great experience. But yeah, they love basketball. They love sports. They love athletes. They love competitiveness and stuff like that.
That's so funny because it's true.
Yeah.
Exactly. With all the different emotions you've been through, you know, whether it was, you know, being Egyptian playing basketball, or not making the team originally, or, you know, just grinding to get to where you are, what emotions did you feel when you got the call for the Orcas from either coach or Ferran?
I was excited. I was extremely excited. And I mean, I think Don knows me well enough to know, like, those opportunities mean a lot to me, even if, you know, things don't pan out. Just putting the pressure on myself to get a chance, that's when I really dial in and put my head down to the ground and get rolling. So I'm really grateful. Like I told Darren and I told Don and all you guys, like, I'm really grateful just for the chance, you know, just for the opportunity to go try out. And I'm going to try my best to, you know, make them proud. And I'm going to try my best, obviously, to make the team. And I think I do have things to contribute to the team, obviously, and stuff like that. But, you know, again, I'm grateful and I'm thankful, and God willing, it all works out, man.
Yeah, and you're also.
What is it that?
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, Doc.
What is it that you think is going to be what you contribute to the team the most?
I think flexibility. I think versatility. I think being able to fill in different spots at different moments. I think I can do a little bit of everything pretty good. And, you know, during this whole time, I've done a lot, you know, during quarantine, not being able to play, not being able to do anything, you know, you kind of sit back and look, and, you know, I trying to change my mindset a little bit. I'm trying to get a little bit more dog in me. I'm trying to get a little bit more, you know, DGAF and stuff like that. So I can, you know, really set myself apart from, as much as I love who I am and my personality, I do have certain goals that I want to hit before I hang them up. And I think if there's not a good time, if there wasn't a better time now to just kind of change my mental when I'm in between those lines, it'll be now. So I do want to bring out a little bit more fire when I'm playing, and I want to be more confident in myself. And those are all things that I've been really working on, really, you know, dangerously to keep myself motivated, to keep myself going. But I do think I can bring a lot to the team. I think I can bring versatility, defense, scoring, passing, hustle more than anything. I think I'm gonna be the guy that's going to dive on the balls. I'm going to grab all the boards. I'm going to try my best to do everything I can to help the team win, more importantly.
That's awesome. Really thought out answer. Thank you.
Very good answer. Coach, you had something? And then Farhan?
I got 3 questions before we now turn over to Don. So Meezy, what's your life after basketball, man?
So I'm at the shop right now, and that's going to be one of my long-term projects. I'm a junior consultant for a company called Diode. So that's something else that I can see myself in the future just maintaining long-term. And then God willing, the brand can, you know, get blown up, and I can make something of it and make a stand for it. And I got a few things that I'm juggling right now that, you know, I hope really work out. But I just know it's going to have to be a lot of work put in. But most importantly, all those things are important to me because I want to take care of my family.
We all know that basketball is mental toughness. So what would you say to the youth, you know, as far as the stuff that you saw your life experiences dealing with and overcoming those mental challenges and continue to play basketball when your nationality doesn't think that's who you should be? Mm-hmm. So what do you want to tell the youth, like, you know, to pursue?
Because you'll be surprised you are. You know, sometimes we put ourselves in situations or we go through something and we say, and you know, defer to, you know.
Yeah, I think your signal's going out.
Yeah, you're cutting out, Meezy. Coach, you want to go ahead and jump in with yours real quick?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I wanted to share. And, you know, one is, you know, I never met a bigger Vince Carter fan until because I am. You know, he's my favorite dunker of all time. But the way he morphed his career is amazing. Is that he went into the league as a dunker and then became a scorer, then became a shooter and all-around game defender, and then he just became a spot-up shooter in his later years. And just the way he always made it work, he didn't make any excuses. He didn't quit when, you know, his athleticism to drop off. He just kept grinding, and because he loved the game. But some of the biggest compliments I could give Meezy or that I've received is that, one, he, you know, you see all the things that he's got going on. You know, he's doing the high tech. He's doing this company, the brand, basketball. You know, that just shows, you know, not putting all your eggs in one basket. He's going to be successful no matter what goes on until he's, you know, God takes him home. And, you know, the other compliment is that I've never been asked about a player when they're not there as much as Meezy. And this is coming from pros that we play against, Drew League guys, top players. And when Meezy's not there, they're like, oh, they may not know his name. They're like, where's the Egyptian dude? And because they respect his game so much. You only get asked about someone because they respect it. They ain't gonna ask about this guy, this nobody on the bench. Nobody asks me more about Meezy. Meezy's the one that gets asked about the most when he's not there. Like, hey, why isn't Meezy playing? Why isn't Meezy with you? And I think that's the biggest compliment, because that's your peers are what counts. People on the outside that don't know what's going on. But once you really get respect from the peers that are on the court. And I haven't met one person that I've interacted with that doesn't like Meezy's game. And I probably count on one hand the amount of people I could say that about.
I appreciate that, Don. That means a lot, man. It's really cool to hear that, because you never hear that from the actual players or anything like that. Hearing those things kind of makes me, it just feeds into that little hunger. Like, man, you're doing something right.
That's a big compliment. Yeah, for sure. And they ask about me all the time at 24, so I totally get it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's funny that we don't give compliments to each other. We give compliments to others, and hopefully get back to them. That's just how we are. But also the other thing is that Meezy is the same person on and off the court if you're in front of like a pro basketball player or a guy just playing in the rec league. He treats you the same. The first time I met Meezy, we played against each other 3-on-3 at the P4E court, and he gave my guy Evan the business, and 5'7" dude, Harlem Globetrotter, and he was killing. And this is the first time I ever met. And I ain't gonna lie, I downgraded Meezy just by the look. I get downgraded when I play, and he killed him. And ever since then, he's my guy. I've been trying, but he's the same if he plays against me or this guy who's just a rec league at the park league, or he treats him the same.
Hey, Meezy, you can opt not to respond to this question, but as we know, athletes tend to speak out on public issues or community, conversations. So, not that you have to say anything, and I'm not going to hold anything against you because I'm Black. But
nah.
what do you think that could be a solution in your mind? Like, when you see this stuff going on, like, what do you think is missing or a solution?
Man, that's like a whole can of worms. That's like very, what do I think is missing? I think what's missing is something so simple, but it's difficult. There's no unity, man. There's no unity right now. And for the whole George Floyd situation, without saying too much about it, it's incredibly sad just seeing how that whole thing panned out. And I pray that God puts his hand in the situation and handles it the way it's supposed to be handled. With everything going on with the riots and looting and all that stuff, is as sad as it makes me, and it is to see people feel like they don't have a choice at this point. Something's got to happen, something's got to give. And while I don't support looting and rioting and or hurting other people in general, I totally understand, and I'm empathetic with it. So without saying too much about it, I really just pray everyone stays together as much as they can. And if you're on one side of the fence, then stay there, and don't come over to this side. And if you're like me, I'm not Black, but I have a lot of Black brothers, and I love them to death, and I grow up with them, and they know that I got their back to this day. So with that being said, man, I just really pray that, things work out as peacefully as possible, but more importantly, justice is served.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I've seen on numerous social media platforms a lot of officers coming forward, and 99% of them, 99.9% of them are for, Floyd and the African American race and any other races. I have, I think I told G, today is actually the anniversary of a friend of mine who got killed the exact same way, knee to the neck, down 6 police officers. The kid was 21. He was schizophrenic. He was in front of his parents. They pinned him down to the ground right here in Whittier. and they killed him. And he, I couldn't breathe, I can't breathe. They killed him, and he got no justice. Like, this cop, he's finally arrested, thank God, and hopefully the other 3 will get something, because they just stood there, they didn't do anything. But in my friend's case, the Whittier Police Department just walked away, like nothing happened, and it's absolutely horrific that that's the case in the world these days. But like I said, with the officer coming forward, you have people that are in that front line that are trying to clean it up. Like you're saying, you want to make things better. They're trying to clean it up. They're like, look, there's good cops, there's bad cops. This guy should not be here. And they kept saying, it's not a rule book, but whatever, in their training, we were never taught to put a knee to somebody's neck. And that's what it all started with, right? You've probably seen it. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it best, man. I think what's important is that these officers are coming forward. I think what's important is that they're speaking out against, whether they're coworkers or they don't know them at all. Like, these people need to be exposed. Sadly, they do. Not for a hey, let's go hurt them or anything like that. But it's completely for, you don't need to be in the position that you're in. A position of authority to where you're going to ruin some people's lives, So especially, man, I heard that same thing. No training for the knee to the back of the neck and 8 minutes straight of it, almost 9 minutes straight of it. Like, come on, man. There's no explanation for it, and it's just sad, man. It's just really sad.
Yeah. And piggybacking off on the riots, you can't tell someone how to protest. You just can't, because people feel different emotions. I don't agree with it at all, especially when they went into the police station and just destroyed it. They destroyed the Target. What did Target ever do to them? But some of that nature, it's not okay. It's definitely not okay. But I'm with you. I empathize with those people, but I also empathize with officers these days, because now they're being targeted, just like racism. Forever, it's always been, oh, you're white, so you're a racist, or you're Hispanic, so you're racist against certain people. Or when the pandemic started, Asians, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Asians have been getting grilled everywhere. I had a buddy who got threatened. He didn't do anything. He was just walking across the street. That's never gonna stop. But we can delay it. We need you as an athlete, us in the media, and the police, especially the police officers, because they have, like you said, they have that authority and people respect them. We have soldiers that are coming forward. Big things like that can make a difference.
I think it's important for us to remember that these are end of days, and the enemy does want to divide us. Mm-hmm. And I think that we really need to keep that in mind with whatever we're witnessing or whatever we're seeing. And we need to make sure that all of our people know and that we talk about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say this as my piece.
How are you next, George? Go ahead.
As
George.
My piece of it, and this stuff, everybody on this call was born into this conversation. Mm-hmm. This has been going on for centuries. Mm-hmm. This is not brand new. So the best that we get to do is figure out how to have our communities, the people on this conversation, what can we do together to change the conversation or to shift another dialogue. But you hear people, I'm tired, I'm frustrated, I'm sad. We tolerate it. We're tolerating it until the next person like Martin Luther King or Gandhi or whoever decides to emerge in our society and say, you know what, I'm willing to die for this conversation. This needs to stop, and I'm willing to risk my life for it. Until somebody wants to do that, it's gonna continue. I'm willing to die for my community work, but I don't know if I'm willing to die for some blacks versus cop, because I learned that in the military, we're trained to objectify human beings. We do it in sports. I've talked about this on the sports show. We objectify each other by saying I'm black and you're white. We objectify each other by saying I'm Hispanic and you're this, or I'm fat and you're skinny. Like, we do that, teaching our children to stay safe, but also in our own conversations. And this conversation is just another objectification between blacks and police officers that, again, has been going on for centuries. So until somebody emerges that's willing to give their life to stop this violence, then we can tolerate it and we can talk about it like I'm in the stands telling Meezy, if I was you, Meezy, I would have shot that. Unless I can do that from the stands all day. Or I could be next to Don, like, hey, put me in the game, coach, I'm ready. Or am I going to be on the court of this life talking about, hey, look, we need to stop this. I'm almost there, but I'm not willing to risk my life for this black and police officer conversation because that's not my past. But we need to create a space for somebody to emerge. If not, it's going to continue.
Yeah, and we got to get the word out there.
We kill black leaders.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. And it's crazy. If you just look at the Zoom right now, I see at least, 3 or 4 different nationalities. And we're all affected by which way or another by what's going on right now, whether you're Egyptian or Puerto Rican or Mexican or African American or Caucasian. It's everybody's affected in some which way or another, but it's how you carry out the way that you are affected. Like instead of writing, you could, like you said, do community work. You could do something to help out others. George, you had something you were holding up.
So yeah, like speaking of this situation, like me and my dad saw it the other day when that guy had the officer had his knee on his neck. So I was like, wow, I can't believe it. Is this really happening? So like at first I couldn't believe it. Then again, I could believe it only because like, that just goes to show you that racism still exists. So I'll just tell you guys a quick story. Like just a few years ago, I was in Riverside. So my apartment was right down the street from the gym I go to. So it was at a rec center. So I was just coming from a basketball game I was playing. I was playing a basketball game, so we won our game. So I was walking with a friend that's Filipino. It was a girl that was Filipino. So I had my sweater on, my hoodie, I had like my basketball shorts. So where I need to go, like I have to pass by a police station. So I see 3 cops driving down, like, just out of nowhere. And then like that 4th cop that was driving down flashes lights at me. And I'm like, yo, like what's going on? So like I'm not gonna lie, I was scared because like I didn't like what did I do to like what did I do? So like then like the cop like carded me saying like, hey, do you go to this school? You go to UCR? I was like, yeah, I do. And then like he was questioning about like, okay, like when were you born? And I told him like the whole situation. So then like at the end of the day, he was like, you match the description of a black criminal. And I'm like, are you freaking, in my head, I was like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Like I wanted to really go off on this cop. I really did. But, I held back because like, you know what? They could arrest me only because from what I did.
How you react to the situation.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't want to do that. Yeah. So it just saddens like, on how like our world is in terms of like racism that's going on.
Yeah, like, I had the exact same thing happen to me. And you would look at me and you would think I'm white, but I'm only half white. I used to drive a Mustang. I drove a Mustang to Lakewood, California, which is not the best area. And I met my buddy in his apartment. And next thing I know, I got 3 cops rolling up behind me saying the same thing they just told you. You matched the description of a Latino guy who stole a Ford Mustang, blah, 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 BS, BS, BS. And not only that, I did not give them consent to go through my car, and they went through all my stuff. I just came back from baseball practice, so I had bats in there, and I had all kinds of crap in there. Yeah, it didn't work out very well. I didn't get thrown in the car or anything, but they trashed my car, and then they just drove away. So the moral of the story here is we got good cops, we got bad cops, but as a society, we need to come together. G, you're a Hispanic male. How do you feel about the situation? We got about 10 minutes left, guys.
Well, long story short, I've been in situations like you and George more than once, and it's just sad because they actually threw me to the pavement and just made the situation worse, man. And because of me too, because I didn't held back, but at the same time, I was young and dumb, and I should have just gone by what they wanted and let it be, and that things played out. But it does suck because I feel like nowadays you see it on TV and people still think it's normal, and look what's last 10 years. Look at how many times this has happened. Well with George, what was the other guy? Is Zimmerman?
Yeah,
that was like the first big one that I heard about, and then after that, like a few years later, a couple of times it happened again, man. And it just feels like it's gonna keep going and going until something happens. Like Ferran said, until another Dr. King comes up, or Malcolm X, or somebody. You know what I mean?
And we don't know.
Even if that happens, what's gonna happen to that person?
Exactly.
Yeah,
You know
my
what I
dad
mean?
actually came here when he was 17 from Ecuador, and he became a musician. He used to tour with like the Yardbirds and the Turtles. He used to jam out with Jim Morrison all the time. He played bass, so he grew his hair out long. And he used to drive like some really nice convertible cars, Hollywood. They would pull him over all the time, you know, throw him on the hood. They would actually do body cavity searches at that time in the 60s because they thought everybody had drugs on them. They thought because he had long hair, and they would say, you know, my dad's Ecuadorian, but they would just say, oh, you Mexican guy, this is obviously not your car, you know? And so they thought he stole a car. So that actually made him become a lawyer. And now he's a criminal defense attorney, and he's a lawyer for the people.
Yeah, like I said on, I think 2 episodes ago, God's got his reasons for everything. You know, I have a tattoo that says that. And whether you're going through a divorce, whether you went through a death, whether you're going through racism, whether you're just doubting yourself because you didn't make a team, you know, whatever it is, or you got mental disabilities, PTSD, whatever the hell it is, there's a reason for what you went through. And it's trying to make you stronger for something that's coming. So that's just my standpoint. You know, if anybody else wants to jump on that.
Any last thing, Bert, you got, Meezy?
What you got? Jump in. It's your interview.
I want to go.
You can change the subject.
No, I think what Ricky just said is real important, along with everybody else. Everything that happens in our lives is meant to shape us. It's meant to mold us. It's meant to toughen us up. Maybe not for ourselves, but for the people behind us when we pay it forward. You know, so sometimes we all go through hardships, some harder than others. I think it's really important to keep cooler heads always prevail, man. I do believe cooler heads always prevail because you give yourself a chance to just really observe. You know, sometimes it's not always good to react right away. Sometimes it's good to take some time before you say something or do something or any of those things. And very circumstantial, but just to piggyback off what Ricky said, all these things are meant to shape us, good and bad.
And just as someone that is just white on the outside, I don't relate to the Caucasian culture. It's just not me. It hasn't been me since day one. And, you know, the only times I've been discriminated is because who I hang out with, Black or Hispanic. And I don't fight. I'm not a fighter. But the only times I've ever gotten close to a fight is with white people treating me or my group unfairly because of who I'm hanging out with. Directed at me, not to my group, which I take offense to, right? It just, as Martin Luther King said, which my family, it's a whole nother story. My family and Martin Luther King are connected, and it's a long story, but he said you can't fight racism with racism, and you can't fight hate with hate. The only way to change racism and hate is with love, but the complete opposite. And the world needs love right now. As Doc said, it's the end of times. You know, spirituality, Jesus is going to come back soon, and, you know, the enemy is going to try to separate us, but if we fight everything with love and start, middle, end, everything, you know, the world's going to change. That's the only way it's going to change. It's not going to change with more hate. That just creates more hate. More racism creates more racism. You put more love into it, you're eventually going to get more love. And that's all I wanted to say on that part.
I totally, again, now where I'm at as an adult at 50 years old, I'm definitely where Don is at. But my dad taught me as a little guy, if you ever come in contact with the police, just do it. First of all, if they're not talking to you, leave.
Yeah.
Like if they're not talking to you personally, leave. And if they are talking to you, answer the questions, give them what they want so you can come home. And if you feel like you was offended or anything else, then we can go back and file a complaint. But don't try to stand there and try to defend yourself or talk crazy or do what he's like. If they're not talking to you, leave. If they are, give them your information, be done with it, come home, and then we'll figure out what's going on. And I've never had, I've been stopped by the police. I've been all that kind of stuff. Maybe because I served in the military since 19, but even in the military, I got stopped by the police because I had my pistol on me. So it's not like we're exempt as military personnel, but I just never had that fear. And I think something that I want to give back to our next generation is that we got to teach foundation skills. We got to teach the youth how, not what to think, but how to think. And that's what I think Meezy is missing, is that our environments are in such of a survival state of mind that emotional reasoning, things like that, you just can't respond because of how you feel a lot of times. And I know that we have a program that we're going to be able to teach that to the generation behind us, because you can't just respond based on how you feel. Because now when this rise is over, those babies, those parents that have little babies in those cities, now where are they going to get baby food and diapers? And like, nobody's thinking about what the impact it's going to have next week. Like, you're mad right now, but what about tomorrow when that baby needs food and diapers? Now we got to go across town. I mean, it's just, it might not mean a lot to people, but it's the impact of it, that your emotional state will get you, it could put you, and like I said, and in the videos, we only get to see 2-3 minute clips. We don't know what transpired up to that point with him, like, we have no idea if he's had run-ins with the police before. Like, we don't have none of those backstories. So we create our opinion off of a 60-second clip, and then my opinion about it is the truth. And those things is just not, it's just the way society starts to view life, and you can't think straight from seeing that, because you're already going to be upset from your emotional response to it.
No, I agree 1,000%. I mean, if you're emotional, that fight or flight response, you tend to do things that you might not do if you were in a right state of mind. You know, Meezy, you were nodding your head like 7,000 times. God on that, dude. What's your reaction to what he said? And then we'll probably sign off.
Nah, Farron hit the nail on the head, man. There's so much. I saw Will Smith posted something. It's like, racism isn't getting worse; it's just getting filmed. Yeah. So there's so much more exposure to everything now. You're seeing everything. It's right in front of you, and you're not seeing 1 clip, 2 clips. You're seeing 10 a day. You know. So yeah, it's very easy to get riled up. It's really easy to get emotional. It's really easy to get hurt. You know, even me. I'm watching. I'm like, man, if this happened to one of my friends, like, I don't know what I would do. You know. But again, like Farron said, like, we don't know how to process it. We don't know how to internalize it. We don't know how to act when we see something like that. And we don't know what transpired before that. A lot of the times we're seeing some of the video. We don't know anything that happened. We just see the dude on the ground. You know, it's not to say anyone's right, wrong, left, or right. But context is very important. Right. The context of the whole situation is really important before we go writing a 2-paragraph post on Facebook and then you're in an argument with everybody and their moms. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's really important for us to not, as much as there is problems, we have to focus on being a part of the solution. So yeah, we're seeing it and it hurts and it bothers us, but what can we do to help it, to fight it? You know, as much as social media is important, my Facebook post is not going to do nothing for nobody. You know what I'm saying? I love social media just like the next person, but what's going to help? Community service. What's going to help? Mentoring the young kids. Okay, I don't want you to be like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're just focused on survival, teach kids survival skills. How are you going to survive? How are we going to survive if you get an interaction with a police officer where you're, you know, you didn't do anything wrong, but you're being accused? Just get out of the situation. We got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So, I think everyone has generally the same mindset of, man, we're sick of it. Everyone's sick of it, you know, and it's not happening to me, but it could happen to the people that I love dearly and care about the most. So yeah, it hits home too. But yeah, man, we got to find a way to pay forward to the youth. And if there's any way that it's going to stop, it's got to be soon, and it's got to be with the front line, which is us.
That's right, man. Thank
I
you.
agree. That's why I love that Ferran and Dawn, they want to do so much community, and I'm totally down to do it with you guys, just so you know.
Definitely.
I've worked at schools
Same
for
here.
8 years. I would love to do community work. The things that you see with the kids, I've seen, I talked about it on a couple other shows, but before we go off, I'll just say real quick. I've worked in after school programs, and I've seen anything from a little 4-year-old who just got pushed to the 12-year-old who wants to kill herself because she wants to come out to her family, but they're that traditional Hispanic family that said, absolutely not, I'm kicking you out at 12 years old if you tell me anything. And she's come talking to me about suicide at 12 years old, and it's heart-wrenching, and it's out there for all ages, all races, all sexes. It doesn't matter, but it's out there, and it's our responsibility, going into the community, teaching these kids, hey, look, this is what you can do in this situation. This is how you can help others in this situation, whether it's how you react to something, or how you, even like what you said, how you say something, how you react to, you could be saying something really mean to somebody, but it's how you come out with it that will give you their reaction that might not trigger, an aggressive reaction. You know what I mean? Something like that.
I think from a mother's perspective, the way that people are reacting, it's similar to when toddlers throw tantrums. And the problem with that is that there's a lack of acknowledgement in the needs of the toddler, and there's a lack of the ability to communicate and to be heard and to be seen. Toddlers, they talk about terrible twos and toddlers throwing tantrums and things, but when there's communication and when the children are getting their needs met and when they're seen and they're heard, then they're not going to be throwing tantrums. And so that's where there's a disconnect there, because these things continue to happen. And whether we see what happened before or we only see a clip, there is no man on earth that can be judge, jury, and executioner. And we're tired of seeing these things. And so we're going to throw tantrums because the needs are not being met. And so something systemically does need to change. And to have a community to be able to speak about that is the only thing that's going to bring people solace right now. So we do need to come up with a different system, and somebody in the Black community needs to rise up as a leader. And actually, Baron Davis was just talking about this the other day. And he was calling for somebody like a Kevin Hart, somebody who has a lot of influence, to rise up as a leader and to create like their own system of government almost, because these are just elected officials, like a CEO of a company. At the end of the day, the United States of America is a corporation. And so we need people that are going to give proper representation where it's needed.
No, absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw something out there real quick. It's crazy, and in my point of view, I think we live in the greatest country in the whole world, and it's crazy how in the United States this is still going on in the day of age of 2020. You know what I mean? Like, how is this still possible that it's going on right now? And it's, as a father, it makes me disappointed, because I don't know, I can't protect my son after he's 18. I'm gonna have to let him live his life, and I don't know if there's gonna be a cop out there that pulls him over just because he's driving a nice car or whatever, and something happens to him. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy to think that we still live in the world like this.
I don't want to get too spiritual, but this is where it comes from. If you believe in what you believe in, you got to look at the Roman Empire and the Greek philosophy. And the philosophies of the Greeks was that leaders were born that were white. They look like Donald Trump. If you look at the Greek philosophy's thought process of what a leader looks like, it describes exactly like Donald Trump. And then the other hand of it is everyone else that was born was less than that type of person. So this mentality is ingrained in the fibers, the fabrics of the mentality of people that are from those parts of the world. That's what's that's the source that's ruling the world. The Roman Empire, when it fell apart, those kingdoms separated, they colonized with the same philosophies across the world. And it's the same mentality. That's why 20% of the population is ran by these systems. It's not us, it's the systems. And like Doctor says, we have to create either our own way and our own systems to survive and live, because those government systems, we don't get to vote out the electoral college. We don't even know who those electoral college people are. We ain't never seen them. Like there's so much legislative, government systems that we don't even see. The same people own the TV stations and the radio stations and the food products. I mean, those are systems that are governed to keep the community at bay. And they think that they're giving us, oh, well, come and vote. We want you to vote so we can get your ideas. They just want to see where our minds are at. That's all they're using that information for. So either, like she said, we either have to create our own way, or you have to find your own peace of mind and take care of your community the best way and just figure out how to manage the systems, because the systems are what they are, and they've been like that from what I've learned and studied and researched since the Romans took over the Greeks. And because that philosophy was said that, oh, the gods told us that leaders look like fair skin, straight lips, like the gods. So when you add your ideology and your philosophy with the theology, then it makes it the truth. It's the same thing that Hitler did. Hitler did what he did because he said that the gods told him that it was his stand to do what he did. And he believed it because it was from a theology perspective. But somebody taught that guy that too. He just didn't wake up when I'm gonna do this to these people. He was influenced. And then when you put that spirituality, that theology piece, it makes it real. That those Greek philosophies were only ideas. Plato, all those cats, they were just ideas. Where the systems is ran by government, the government is ran by dead men ideas. Mm-hmm. And we all got ideas how we can run the government now, but the systems is set by some dead men who we can't even vote those. You can't change that. You can't change that. So how do we figure out how to manage it in our own community so we can live? Mm-hmm. Unless you're running for president. Yeah. And the guy that ran for president, I'm gonna leave this. The guy that ran for president, I don't know what his name was, but when I heard that he pulled out of the presidency, he spent $500 million on marketing. And he pulls out of the president. I'm like, who has $500 million to market your campaign? And then at the end, you're like, oh, okay, well, I think we're done. We're not gonna. What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Come on, man. That's not even real. That's not even realistic to me. Sorry.
No, I totally agree, Ferran. I mean, and to close it out, because we got to get going. Like he said, we need, like Doc said and Ferran said, we need to do something to bring it together, to make our voices heard, but not in a violent manner. And I think to take away from today, from everything we've talked about, from dealing with any type of racism, whether it's in sports, in life, obviously it's not going anywhere. So we need to, as an organization, as a basketball team that's going to be in a community, we can even go to different communities. We need to step up and we need to make a difference. Period. The end.
It starts with the kids. Teach them right from wrong. That's it. Teach them right from wrong.
Absolutely. So on behalf of myself, my partner George, my partner G, want to thank Coach Don, Doc, and the boss man Ferran, and of course Meezy. Thank you so much, brother, for sharing your life, the adventures you went on, all the cool stuff you did. And honestly, I really think this interview is gonna touch someone big time, dude.
No doubt.
I appreciate you guys for having me, man. No problem, guys. Thank you guys.
Take it easy, man.
You guys always make it
real easy.
We waiting for phase 3, man. As soon as phase 3 kick in, we looking for the tryouts, man. As soon as phase 3 kick in.
No, I'm ready. I've been in the backyard getting at it, man.
All right,
guys.
Stay
safe.
Bye, guys.